It's the best and last day of the school and work week. We're glad you've tuned in to CNN Student News. You know who I am. Let's get you up to date on today's headlines. If you've heard a loud thump coming from New York, it's the stock market falling again. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, an indication of how the market is doing, lost almost 10% of its value on Wednesday and Thursday alone. It's seen as bad news for the economy. And that, along with the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, is exactly what President Bush plans to discuss with President-elect Obama on Monday. The current leader will also give the incoming one a tour of the White House. Getting back to the economy now, there's been a lot of talk lately about a second stimulus. You might remember when Congress and the President enacted a stimulus package for the economy earlier this year. It basically translated into checks for many taxpayers, including me, in the hopes that when we spent the extra money, it would help stimulate the economy. Well, Luis Schiavone details another stimulus proposal that Congress may try to pass before the year is out.
Democrats will have a stronger majority next year, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says this Congress has more work to do, principally a second economic stimulus bill.
I'm in communication with the White House about such a stimulus package to grow our economy by creating jobs, to do it in a newer, greener way.
A spokesman for Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid tells CNN that Senate Democrats are on board with the Speaker for a second stimulus package that would extend unemployment insurance, increase food stamp funding, expand funds for the low-income home heating assistance program, and help strapped Americans in peril of losing their homes. Late last week, the next president went on record with CNN in support of a second stimulus bill.
I think we are going to need a second stimulus. One of my commitments is to make sure that that stimulus includes a tax cut for 95% of working Americans.
But the question is, will the current president support a Democratic bill? A White House spokesman tells CNN, quote, "We haven't seen a stimulus package from the Democrats, and it's not at all clear that they have a plan," end quote. House Republican leader John Boehner told us that the GOP is eager to respond to economic troubles with a meaningful approach, but, quote, not hundreds of billions in new government spending masquerading as economic stimulus, end quote. The Republican leader wants any stimulus to include tax incentives, such as more money for child tax credits and a capital gains tax reduction to allow Americans to rebuild their 401k retirement funds. It all adds up, says this former Bush administration economist.
Senator Obama, President-elect Obama, now has a very long list of expensive programs he wants to put through. I think he's going to find that the size of the deficit and the weakness in the economy are going to be very limiting.
In other headlines, President-elect Obama has made his first big transition announcement, naming his White House chief of staff. Representative Rahm Emanuel has accepted the position, where he'll coordinate activities for different departments in the new administration. Emanuel was a top aide to President Bill Clinton, and he served in the House of Representatives since 2003. And congratulations for President-elect Obama came from an unlikely source, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. The U.S. hasn't had diplomatic relations with Iran since 1979. Ahmadinejad in the past has repeatedly spoken out against the U.S., saying in September, quote, "The American empire in the world is reaching the end of its road."
Today's shout-out goes out to Mr. Denzer's 10th grade American Studies classes at Heartland High School in Heartland, Michigan. Which of these countries is known as the land of the rising sun? Is it China, Japan, Indonesia, or Turkey? You've got 3 seconds. Go! Japan is the land of the rising sun, and that's exactly what you see on the country's flag. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
One town in that land has really taken an interest in the U.S. election because it shares its name with the president-elect. In Japanese, Obama means Little Beach. It's home to about 32,000 people, fewer than the crowds that showed up at many of Barack Obama's campaign events. But it turns out the town has a musical connection to the incoming president. Kyung La tunes up the details.
So we are in Obama, Japan. We're covering the story of Obama City and its connection to the man, Obama. This is my producer, Junko. She's busy at work. I'm bothering her. So everywhere you go here, what we've noticed in covering this story is that there's this song, this music. And we just had to know more about this band that you hear everywhere.
This is the Anyone Brothers Band, made up of 2 lead singers, a guitarist, a red Power Ranger, don't ask me why, and Obama native Toshitaka Kimura. They are unabashedly Barack Obama fans.
Of course, Barack Obama.
And wrote this catchy love song, a 2-for-1, if you will, to the city of Obama and Obama the man.
So as far as the song, really, after a few days in Obama, I don't know, what do you think of the song? No more with myself. We're done with the Obama song.
Okay, thanks, Kyung. Well, there is one fewer Senate race up in the air. Incumbent Republican Gordon Smith of Oregon has conceded his Senate seat to Democratic challenger Jeff Merkley. This means Democrats will have at least 55 seats in the Senate next year, plus the votes of 2 independents. They need 60 seats to be filibuster-proof, though, and the races in Alaska, Georgia, and Minnesota still undecided.
Time for some fast facts. Rabies is a disease that's caused by a virus, and that's often passed from one animal to another by biting. Only mammals can get this disease. That includes foxes, dogs, and even humans. Rabid animals may show changes in their normal behavior, like being overly aggressive. Rabies can be prevented by a vaccine and by thoroughly cleaning the wound.
Well, an Arizona woman is recovering from a recent run-in with a rabid fox. But the animal's attack isn't the most shocking part of the story. It's how the woman responded to being bitten. Faye Fredericks of affiliate KPNX in Phoenix, Arizona, has the details.
The wounds may be small, but the story of how Michelle Felicetta got them is nothing less than stunning.
As soon as it started walking towards me, I pretty much knew something was very wrong, and I took a step back, and as soon as I took a step back, it lunged at my foot.
A tiny Band-Aid now covers the spot where a rabid fox first sunk its teeth into Michelle while she was hiking near Granite Basin Lake outside of Prescott. She managed to kick it off.
It came back at my knee, and as soon as it got to my knee, I grabbed its neck, and it started thrashing in my hand, and it latched onto my left arm.
Worried the sick animal would attack another animal or another hiker out here, Michelle wrapped the thrashing animal in a sweater and threw it in the trunk of her car before driving to the hospital.
My gut reaction is wow. I mean, it sounds pretty spectacular.
Charlie Hanks is camping in the same area where the attack happened.
It sounds like a pretty freak incident, and whenever you're in the wild, you always have to take care.
Miss Felicetta says she wanted the fox to be tested for rabies. That's another reason why she brought it with her to the hospital. Those tests showed the fox did have the disease. It bit an animal control officer as well when he tried to take the fox out of the trunk. Both he and Felicetta are now receiving a series of rabies vaccinations. Veterans Day. It honors the men and women who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces, and it's coming up next Tuesday. We'll have a report on the history of this holiday then. You can go to our blog right now and share your messages for U.S. veterans. You might just see them on our show next week.
Is this legit? Pythons are among the most venomous snakes in the world. This one's false. These snakes are non-venomous, though along with anacondas, pythons are among the largest snakes in the world.
Before we go today, a reptilian reason for some engine trouble.
I got his head, so you keep pouring that water on him.
That doesn't sound too pleasant. But what she's talking about is this. A pesky python that managed to sliver up inside this car. The 10-foot terror wouldn't turn itself over when animal control started up the ignition, so they tried flushing out the engine and the snake. It took 45 minutes for this sucker to finally let go, and after all that, it just moved from one vehicle to another. 45 minutes under the hood, and it didn't even offer a tune-up. Man, that's cold-blooded. Uh-oh. You guys have a great weekend. We hope to see you Monday if you forgive us for that awful pun. I'm Carl Azuz.